guys, how are you all doing? And welcome back to weekly predictions for a new season. The Championship 23-24 season kicks off this week and we've got 12 massive games to go through. I'm joined by Sophie. How you doing?
Very well. Championship's back.
It's back. I'm buzzing.
Back, baby.
Guys, I'm sure you're buzzing too, especially if you support a team in the Championship. If you want to support the channel, please do make sure to drop a like. Let's go for 600 likes on this video. Come on guys, let's get some big support on this one for the first episode of predictions for the Championship season starting this week. Do make sure to hit that subscribe button as well, guys. It is free to do and you can keep up to date with this Championship channel over here. Let's get into the game, Sophie. Starting off at Hillsborough. Sheffield Wednesday take on Southampton in the first game of the new Championship season on the Friday night. A team that's just come up versus a team that's just come down. Southampton will be made favourites for this. I think we both predicted them to be in our top 6 this season. I think we both expect them to be sort of top 4 really. I mean, but they're going to be strong this season, aren't they? Some of the players they've kept, some of the players they've brought in, I do think Southampton will do well. As for Sheffield Wednesday, it's been a dysfunctional summer. Obviously Darren Moore going wasn't ideal. Xisco Munoz is still a good manager. They've started to bring in a couple of players and they've kept a lot of the decent players that got them up last season. I think the thing is with this one, Soph, if this was at St Mary's, I think I'd be really going in for Southampton. But Sheffield Wednesday at home are a good team. They proved that last season. And although Southampton are favourites, I'm going to go for a little bit of an upset for the first one here. Sheffield Wednesday's home fans can make a difference. We're going to see a win for Wednesday at Hillsborough, 1-0.
God, what a win that would be to kick the season off. Kind of hope it comes true. I do see the favourites winning this. For me, Southampton are going to win, but I actually see it being quite a tight game. I see both teams getting on the score sheet here, but 2-1 to the Saints.
2-1 to the Saints. Interesting. Okay, let's move on to the Saturday games. We'll start at Ewood Park, where Blackburn Rovers take on West Bromwich Albion. Now, two sides that just missed out on the playoffs last season. Haven't had amazing summers. I think their teams haven't necessarily got much stronger. I do think the idea for the fans will be to compete for the playoffs again. I'm sure Blackburn and West Brom fans, will want to be pushing for the playoffs again this season. Who's going to get off to a winning start? It's a difficult one, this. Like I say, I've touched on the fact that Blackburn Rovers haven't got Brereton Diaz, haven't got Dak. Some of the players they've brought in look to be okay, but we'll see how they get on this season. West Bromwich Albion, not a lot of transfer activity. But I do like the manager, Carlos Corberán. I'm going to go for the Baggies to get the win on this one. I think it'll be close. I don't see a lot between these two, but Blackburn 1, West Bromwich Albion 2.
Okay, I actually can't separate the two here. I'm going to have to back a draw. I'll say 1-1, but I can't separate the two teams.
Difficult one, isn't it? Let's move on to the next game. We are going to Ashton Gate for Bristol City taking on Preston North End. This is the sort of clash of two mid-table sides from last season. Two sides that have been in the Championship for quite a while now. Both sides got promoted to the Championship around 2014, 2015, and they've just stayed there. They've had seasons where they've been close to getting to the playoffs, and I think that's got to be the goal for at least Preston this season, to push for the playoffs. If Bristol City can get into the top half as well, that'd be amazing, considering last season it was more around mid-table with Nigel Pearson. Once again, I'm struggling with this one. Both have had okay transfer windows. I think I'm going to edge the home team. Maybe being at home for the first week can make a difference. I'm going to say Bristol City are going to edge this 1-0.
Yeah, I'm actually going to say the same. I feel like Preston might get off to a bit of a slow start, and I wouldn't be surprised if it'd be 0-0, to be honest, or just a draw of some sort. But I'm going to back the home team as well. 1-0 for me. 1-0.
Okay, let's move up to the Riverside, where we've got Middlesbrough taking on Millwall. Now, this is a battle between two sides I've predicted to be in the playoffs this season. I put Middlesbrough to finish 4th. I put Millwall to finish 6th. Last season, Middlesbrough did finish 4th, and Millwall just fell short of the playoffs. I don't really think there's a lot between these two. I think Middlesbrough will be favourites, especially being at home as well. And considering how amazing they were under Michael Carrick last season, they've got Chuba Akpom, who's the top goal scorer last season as well. But Millwall possess a threat. They're always solid under Gary Rowett. They've got the likes of Bradshaw, who can score goals. Both sides have seen decent business. I want to go for a draw, but once again, I'm just going to edge the home team. I do think Middlesbrough will just have enough. I'm going to say 2-1.
Yeah, I could see this being a draw as well, to be honest, but can't back another draw. I'm going to back the home team. I think it's going to be a really tight game, just one goal separating the two, so 1-0 to Borough.
1-0. Okay, next up we'll go to Carrow Road, Sophie, where you've got Norwich City taking on Hull City. This is an interesting one, Soph. I really don't know what to say. I mean, Norwich last season, very underwhelming. This time round, can they be better? They've got Wagner, who I do think is a good manager and did do all right when he first came into Norwich. They've brought in a couple of interesting players this transfer window. But I think Hull City, we've said, are a pretty reliable team in the Championship to pick up points, and they were they were an obstacle against the teams
at the top teams, weren't they? Yeah.
Last season. I think Rosenior's a good manager, and I think they've brought in some decent players, but I do think, once again, I'm going to go for the home team, and I think they are the favourites for this one. Norwich 2-0.
Yeah, I feel like Norwich need to hit the ground running this season, and this game could be a bit of a statement against Hull City. I don't think it's going to be that big of a statement, but I do see them winning 2-0.
2-0. Okay, Sophie, let's go to Home Park. Plymouth Argyle are back in the Championship after a long time. They're taking on Huddersfield Town. Now, Plymouth were amazing in League One last season. They destroyed the league, and it was so competitive. We've touched on that.
Yeah.
And they've brought in quite a few players that they had last season. I feel like they've kept the core of that team. They've got a good manager, and I do think, once again, I'm going to lean towards the home team. We'll touch on Huddersfield. I think they are going to be all right from relegation this season. I think Neil Warnock's a good manager. They could possibly push on, actually. I think that's what you predicted, for them to finish a little bit higher this season. I just think there's going to be such a buzz at Home Park. They're back in the Championship. They're at home for the first game. And I'm going to say it's going to rain goals. Plymouth Argyle 3, Huddersfield 2.
Do you know, I was tempted to go for the same. I could either see it being a bit of a stalemate and both teams trying to figure each other out, or a bit of a goal fest. I'm going to say there's going to be goals, not quite as many as you, but I'm going to back the home team as well. Plymouth win this for me, 2-1.
2-1. Okay, we're both going for Plymouth there. Do share your thoughts down below. Let's move to Stoke City, who take on Rotherham United. Now, we've touched on Stoke City a few times in the transfer videos because they've been so busy. They've been bringing in so many players and quite a lot of Premier League and Championship experienced players. Question is, will it take them a while to gel with them having so much activity? Rotherham United, their business has been okay. We touched on recently they brought in Fred Onyedinma. I think that's a decent signing. They've still got a few of their key players from last season that kept them up. I do think, once again, I'm going to be boring and edge the home team, but I do think Stoke are going to just have enough. But maybe the fact that they're bringing in so many players and they're going to gel might not be totally convincing, and Rotherham can be a tough nut to crack, but I'm going to go Stoke City 2-1.
I feel like Stoke are going to have a better season this year. I said in our predictions they just need to get that consistency down, because they're not a bad team. They've brought in a couple of good players. I think they're still linked with a couple of good players as well, so could be a couple of issues with gelling. However, I do feel like they're going to kick their season off with a win, so 2-0 for me. 2-0. Okay, let's go down to South Wales. The Liberty, Swansea City take on Birmingham City. This is an interesting one, Soph. I think both teams will want to be sniffing around, you know, the top half. I mean, Swansea last season were good under Russell Martin, but they have changed. They've got Michael Duff now. They've brought in Jerry Yates, and at this moment in time, they've still got Joel Perreault. That could be, you know, massive for them. I'm surprised by that, yeah.
So they might have quite a bit of goal power about them this season. But we've touched on the positivity at Birmingham City, new owners, some new faces coming through the door, and I think Birmingham City tend to get off to decent starts in the Championship. They usually fall away. Maybe they won't this time round, but I do think they will get off to a decent start. I'm struggling with this one, so I haven't gone for a draw yet. So let's say Swansea 1, Birmingham City 1.
Yeah, I don't think I've backed an away team yet, and I'm going to, for this one, for me, Birmingham are going to get off to a good start again, as they usually do. Right now, looking at Swansea, they've still got a good team. I don't know if there's going to be any changes before the beginning of the season. If not, then I do see it being a tighter game. But for me, Birmingham are going to win this. Tight game though, but I say 1-0. 1-0
Birmingham. Okay, let's go to Vicarage Road, where we've got Watford taking on Queen's Park Rangers. Watford have been alright with their business. They've brought in a couple new faces. In yesterday's transfer video, we spoke about them bringing in Jamal Lewis. That's a decent defender to bring in, a bit of Premier League experience there. Queen's Park Rangers, I think a lot of people are concerned for this season. They've got Gareth Ainsworth, and we'll just have to wait and see. I hope he does well, I must say. I hope he does well. They've brought in Asmir Begovic to replace Seny Dieng. I think Watford are going to win this, and I think they're going to get a few goals. I'm going to say Watford 3, QPR 1.
Yeah, I am intrigued to see how Watford are going to get on this season. I feel like the manager, in order to keep the job, he's got to get off to a good start. To be honest, you could say the same for QPR as well, because obviously they didn't finish last season very well at all. So it'd be interesting to see if they carry that on, or they're just going to start on a clean slate. I am going to back Watford to win, and I feel like it could be quite convincing. 3-0.
3-0. Wow. Okay. There's 3 fixtures on Sunday, and let's start with the M69 derby. Myself and Sophie are going to this one. Coventry City haven't played Leicester City since they were both in the Championship together last, which was 11 years ago. Since then, Leicester City have been up to the Premier League and won the Premier League itself. Coventry have worked their way all the way down to League Two and all the way back up, and just missing out on promotion to the Premier League last season. Big game this to kickstart our season. How will Coventry respond to the disappointment that was the playoff final defeat? We've brought in some decent players. Ellis Sims, Sakamoto, obviously Gyökeres has gone out the door, but we've still got Hamer at the moment. Leicester City have offloaded Barnes and Maddison, but they've brought in some decent players as well. Maybe Leicester City might take a little time to gel. And I haven't gone for many draws, so I'm going to actually back Coventry to get a draw here. I'm going to say Leicester City 1, Coventry City 1.
Oh, do you know what? I would take a draw. I feel like Leicester City have got to hit the ground running because I feel like they're going to be the champions. And they've had a good transfer window. They've brought in some players that were Premier League players. I really don't want to... I don't want to back us to lose, but I can see it happening. 2-1 to Leicester. Oh, that was painful saying that.
Really?
Yeah. Just end the video here.
There you go. Sophie's back in Leicester. We do both expect Leicester to do well, but let's just hope Coventry City aren't far behind them this season, or at least maybe close to them. We'll see. Let's move on to the next game. We're going to Ellen Road for Leeds United, who are back in the Championship, and they host Cardiff City. Leeds United have only started just bringing in a couple of players recently, but they have kept a lot of their good players from the Premier League. Cardiff City have had a transfer embargo, but still impressed me despite that transfer embargo. The manager, Baloo, not too familiar with. I wonder how he'll get on. But Daniel Farke, we do know, is a serial winner in the Championship, at least with Norwich, and I've backed Leeds United to win the league this year. I think they're going to get off to a good start here. I saw them against Nottingham Forest in a pre-season friendly. They looked good. I think Cardiff might get 1 goal because they've got Matey, Carl Grant, Aaron Ramsey, but Leeds are going to run out winners. Leeds 3, Cardiff 1.
Okay, yeah, I can see it being a fairly convincing Leeds win, to be honest. I don't see them conceding, actually. I'm going to say 2-0 Leeds. I feel like they're going to be very strong this season.
Wow, okay, you're going for Leeds. Right, the final game then, Soph, is up at the Stadium of Light, and it's Sunderland versus Ipswich Town. I like this fixture.
Oh, this is going to be a good one.
This is a difficult one. I think this is a really good game. Two sides that were in League One a couple seasons ago. I mean, Ipswich were there last year, but they were both together in League One a couple seasons ago. Good to see them both back in the Championship. Two big clubs. Sunderland, obviously, massive fan base. The Stadium of Light is going to be roaring. Ipswich Town, obviously a big club. They'll be taking thousands up to the Stadium of Light. Difficult first game here for Ipswich. I do think they're going to do well this season, but maybe just going to lean towards Sunderland. I'm tempted to go for a draw here, but Tony Mowbray teams always get off to a good start to the season.
They do.
Sunderland's business has been good. I think they could be right involved in a playoff race again. I think Ipswich could be there or thereabouts this season, but maybe take a game or two to get going. I'm going to just edge Sunderland 2-1.
Yeah, I think going into this, Sunderland, especially being the home team, are going to be the clear favourites. However, I see this being an entertaining draw. 2-2 for me.
Wow.
Yeah,
you go
for a great game.
Desmond at the Stadium of Light.
I hope it's a good game.
Yeah, it could be. It sounds like one. There you go, guys. That is our predictions. Do make sure to get your predictions down below. Like I say, they are the 12 predictions for the first weekend of Championship games. And we'll be here every week predicting every Championship game, so don't miss out on anything. Do make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Thank you for joining me, Sophie.
Thank you.
We will see you all in the next one. Peace out.